Welcome back to my page, Beyond the Blur. This is Yashima Marshall, and on my channel, I talk about things that relate to psychological and the emotional part of dealing and coping with our vision loss. So, I have been talking about over the past few weeks the grief process in relationship to the vision loss and going through the 7 stages of that. So, this week, I'm going to be talking about the fourth stage of vision loss, grief during that process, and that is depression and grief. One of the toughest parts, in my opinion. So let's get right into it. We talked about the trauma of our vision loss. We talked about the shock and denial of our vision loss. We talked about going into bargaining, and now we're getting to the part where it's starting to set in, right? It's starting to set in our reality that this is going to be our life. What's coming up next? We can't do anything about it. We're losing our vision. We've lost our vision. We're completely blind, whatever we're going through. And we're here. And now the grief is starting to set in for real. The depression and sadness starts to set in. And what does that look like, for you? That looks like sometimes isolation, from friends, from your family, even the ones who are inside your household. It looks like activities are changing. This may be the point where you're realizing that you can't work anymore, or at least do the job or the jobs you've been used to doing the way you've been used to doing them. And everything is going through your mind is flashing. Oh my gosh. I had a dream of driving across country and staying there for weeks. I have dreams of traveling. I have dreams of doing this career. I have dreams of this. What about grandchildren? I'm not going to be able to see them. What about my children? What about my relationship? My marriage? What is it going to look like? And so my independence is gone, right? And that's big for some of us. And independence, that means being able to go and do as you will when you can without having to ask somebody to do it for you, without having to ask someone to drive you to the store. So at this point, you're probably at the point where you can't drive anymore. And this brings on a sense of sadness for you, right? It's real. And you don't know what to do with it, do you? And I'll tell you a little bit of story about, when I went through this. When I realized, initially I didn't really realize I was depressed or going through the grief process. But I think that when I started going to the stage of depression, I realized oh my gosh, I am grieving. You are grieving the loss of your vision. It's major. It's not anything to take lightly, right? It's no light about this. It's heavy. And you're grieving. And for me, I think the reality came when I realized I had to make a decision on whether I was going to have surgery or not on my other eye. Okay? And so it came to the point where I was making it, my left eye was getting really bad now. Now I could tell that my vision was blurry. I couldn't see with my glasses anymore. It was getting more difficult to do things that I used to do. And I think before I started, when I got to that point, I stopped driving. I would take my husband to work and drive my kids, take them to all their places or what have you. And I couldn't. The realization that driving was a hazard. It was unsafe for me. And that made me sad And I started going home and I was sitting there. So now I'm at home. I can't drive, right? I'm used to going to the grocery store. I'm used to running the errands, doing everything that needs to be done for my family while my husband's at work, while my sons are at school. I'm used to driving myself to work, to my counseling sessions. I was doing therapy at this time. And so when I realized I couldn't drive, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening to my life? This is not happening. And a sadness started to set in on me a little bit because all these things were going on. I was losing all of the things. And at that time, all I could see, and at that time, all you can see, if you're going through this right now, is all of the things that we're losing. We can't see at this moment, at that moment when we're in this stage, the after part, right? We can't see the silver lining. We can't see that path where things are going to be great. We can't see that at that moment. I couldn't see that at that moment. I couldn't believe it. I said, this is a joke. I was finishing up, just finishing. I actually had just finished my master's degree. And I had these plans. I was going to be a therapist and I was going to do counseling, and I was doing counseling, right? I was seeing clients and everything. And so it set in on me when I got to that point where I couldn't see anymore. I woke up one day and I got to my computer, probably getting ready to sign in or write some therapy notes or do some things like that, check some emails. And my computer was unusually blurry. I couldn't zoom it. I couldn't see it without having to zoom into this ridiculous point. And I remember it was May, and my son was home from school for the summer. And I started this sadness before he came home from school. And my husband and my older son, they're working. So I'm at home by myself. No one's seeing this sadness, this depression that's setting in on me, this grief that I'm going through. And so my son was home from school, and we are spending time together, hanging out or whatever. And I'm trying to hide this. I'm trying to mask what I'm going through because I don't want him to see it. I don't want him to know that mommy is depressed and mom is, struggling, that I'm sad, that I'm feeling all these things, isolated and everything, because I decided when I went to my computer, and he was helping me for a minute, and then it got so difficult at that time that I said, you know what? I'm shutting everything down. I'm done. Turn the computer off. I'm closing all of my clients. I sent out a notice to the company I was working for. I'm an independent contractor, and I let them know that I was going to be taking an extended leave of absence due to medical reasons, and they need to transfer my clients, all those things. So I started going through that mode, and I just shut everything down. I shut it down, and my son was like, "You're gonna stop doing therapy, Mom?" Yes, I'm gonna start doing that for now until I get better. That's what I wanted to say to him. And he said to me, while we're sitting here hanging out, as I think I'm doing such a great job of masking my depression and my grief and my sadness. And I guess I was sleeping a lot because that was a part of what I was going through, my sadness and my depression. I started sleeping a lot. In my family, if you know me, I'm high energy. I'm always going, boom, 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 what's happening? What are we doing? What's next? What's planning? What do you have going on? What do you have going on? That's how I am. And so he said to me one day on a couch, he said, "Mom, what's up with you?" And I said, "Oh, what do you mean, son? What are you talking about?" And he said, "You've been sleeping a lot. What's going on? You've been sleeping a lot, You haven't been yourself. And I was like, whoa, out of the mouths of babes, right? And he called me out on it. And it kind of made me realize, like, oh my gosh, is that what's going on? Because for me, in my mind, I was just thinking that, okay, I'm being a responsible person. I can't see. I had to change all these things I was doing with my clients. I couldn't drive to my other therapy site anymore to see my clients. I was home doing telehealth, and now this is happening with my eyes. I can't even see the screen. I can't even see what I'm doing. I have to pull back and get my stuff together before I help other people get their stuff together, right? I got to get some stuff together. And so my son calling me out really kind of woke me up. And I said, oh my gosh, he's right. I'm depressed. And for me, it was so weird because I'd never been depressed before. I never dealt with that type of sadness setting in on me that was so heavy, and that I was just laying in bed and sleeping to later times in the day and not wanting to do anything, the usual things that I enjoy going and doing, and he had to bring that to my realization. And maybe you're going through that, and I said, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And I had to sit in it. This is probably the first time in going through my journey, going through everything I was going through. I've been going through this for some years. And this was the first time I really believe and think that I cried, that I broke down and just cried in front of the bathroom mirror. And I said it out loud. I don't want to be blind. I don't want to lose my eyesight. And of course, I went to the God, what is this? Is this some cruel joke? I go through college. I finish up, get my master's degree. I have this big retirement plan of being a therapist and everything. And as soon as I get my degree in my hand, I take these pictures of me with my degree. I completed it. Look at me. And this happens. I lose my eyesight in my other eye. What is this? And I had to sit in that. I allowed myself to sit and mourn the loss of my vision, because yes, it's that deep. We can't skip this part, right? We can't go through this and not allow ourselves to mourn and to feel it deep, because it hurts. I know it hurts. I know it hurts, because I boo-hoo cried like a baby who had scarred her leg and was mommy, and I said to my husband, I want to go home. I want to move home. And that's what I think that he realized. Okay, it finally hit her, because he thought he would never hear those words, me saying I wanted to move home, right? We've been married for 25 years, together for 30. And he's like, what? You want to go home? And so, but I had to sit in it. And I'm encouraging you today, right now, to allow yourself to feel the sadness, to allow yourself to mourn what you're losing, what you're lost, your independence, your ability to drive, your ability to just get up and go as you feel, your need to be more dependent on other people for some things, your skill set to swallow your pride and ask for help. All those things, allow yourself to feel it. But what I don't want you to do is get stuck in it too long. Okay? Don't stay stuck here, because we can't stay isolated forever. We can't go through life not enjoying activities forever. We can't lay in the bed forever and just cry. And we can't mourn it forever, at least in a way that's not healthy. Okay? So when you get to the stage, and let me encourage you, if you need help, if you're unable to pull yourself out of that depression, that grief, if you're like Yashima, I'm stuck here because it just hurts so bad. You don't know all the things that I was planning to do tomorrow, next month, next year. You don't know what I'm going through. I lost my job. How can I make money? What are people going to think about me now? You know, I understand all those feelings, but if you need help, don't be so prideful that you don't go get the mental health help that you need. Go see a therapist. Go see a counselor. Go talk to someone. And if you're not the individual kind of person, try to find a group support group, right? So you can just get in there and around people who are going through the same thing you're going through, that understand what's happening. And I'm spending some time on this because I know this stage is tough. And I know this stage is the one we can get stuck in the longest. The grief, the depression, the sadness, the isolation. And I don't want you to get stuck there. So I'm encouraging you today. You know, do some of the things that I said in this video. Allow yourself to mourn. Feel your feelings. Don't be afraid of them. They're real. They're not going to go away. Whether you think because you're not crying, because you're not feeling those feelings, you think that you're okay and you're moving through it. No, your body is going to experience it regardless, because your mental, your psyche can't get past it. And so you're going to experience it whether you cry out loud, whether you say it or not. You're still going to experience it. So get ahead of it. Don't just push it down, push those feelings down. Like, no, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to be sad. I'm not going to be sad. Allow yourself to feel it. Okay? And I hope this was helpful. Thank you for joining me again. This is, week 4, talking about stage 4, depression and grief. Join me back here on my page and my channel. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the next stage, stage 5 of vision loss. So I'm going to be talking about what comes after. Reclaiming your life. What's the next step? So don't miss it. Thanks for joining me today. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share this with some other people who are going through what you're going through, and they need to hear this too. Okay? Talk to you later. See you soon.